Brambro back with Grand Tactician Civil War. Union campaign on Very Hard and Elevated. Begun in version 1.07, continuing now in 1.08. The battle in this episode, unlike some others, is strategically pretty important, and things don't go all that smoothly. McClellan's Army of the Mississippi has just captured Fort Pillow, right at the end of the last episode, but almost at the same instant, attacked by Samuel Cooper with 3 Confederate armies. The approaching rebel force is larger than our own, and they earnestly want Fort Pillow back. At stake, the winner of this battle controls access to the Mississippi River. Let's see what happens. Okay, here we are. Battle of the Mississippi. Got McClellan's Army of the Mississippi down here. And he will be against Samuel Cooper with a combined force of 3 Confederate armies, one of which is fairly small. At the moment, troop numbers on the field are pretty close, but there is one Confederate army that has yet to arrive. So right now it's 32,000 to 29,000, but I think it's going to be more like 35,000 for Samuel Cooper. But momentarily, like within the hour or overnight. We're actually pretty close to sunset as it is. We're on this Centerville map or Swampy Creek map. I kind of thought we might get the Shiloh map being in West Tennessee, but no. The Confederate entry points are here and here. And then there's also one over here toward the northwest. And here's the objective. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a strong parapet position right here and put a division right here, just to deny, not really expecting the main attack, just to deny this crossing to the rebels. And then the main position, I think, is going to be through here. What I like the idea of is open ground out here, and then we've got like a tree line kind of through here. And we'll get most of Stevens and Curtis's infantry along like so. And then probably put the artillery about like this. Right. So I need to set that up. We've got an overnight deployment phase to go through before, I'm sure before there's any spotting that's even done. And I'll be back at some point on day 2. Okay. It's the morning of day 2. And here's our position. Line here. We got Stevens' 6th Corps over here and Curtis's 7th Corps over here on either side of this road running through the middle of the position. You can see the defensive line here. Due to there being 2 different deployment phases with engineering points and wanting to get some of the brigades some XP for perks, that sort of thing, some of it's breastworks, some of it's just fence, some of it's parapet. I did have a division over here denying this bridge. Enough Confederate forces were spotted that I don't think we needed to do that. So I pulled this division over here. They're now forming our right flank. And we can see the Confederates coming up. Let's see here. We've got folks from this cav is from the Army of Mississippi. And then some of these others are Army of Mississippi, Army of Georgia. So we have both the Army of Mississippi and the Army of Georgia coming down this way. And those are the 2 larger Confederate armies. There's also the much smaller Western Army who came onto the field just before the deployment phase last night. And that's these fellows up here. Our cav spotted them just before nightfall. This isn't his position. I just left him here to show where Western Army is. He is separated enough that Minty has his own little deployment zone, and I don't need him to stay there anymore. What I'll do is I'm going to put these guys down here, and then you know what? I am going to leave them right here. I want to see if Western Army crosses here at Jones Ford, comes to, I'm going to leave these guys keeping an eye on this little horse here. Other than that, I'll be back when some shooting starts in earnest, which could be soon, or it might take a little while for all these guys to get down here and decide that they want to make an attack. Western Army bypassed Jones Ford. Looks like they're headed down and will cross at Roberts Ford, and maybe even at this crossing right here. Cav is pulling back to Centerville to keep an eye on them. And I think we got a little bit of skirmisher contact maybe going on here. This is rebels forming up, though. This is not an attack occurring yet. Other Cav is watching the Army of Georgia come on down the road. Okay, I was caught a little bit napping here. The Confederates are making an attack. Infantry brigade came right, I think it's infantry, came in right in here in a melee with Cook's brigade here on the angle of the defenses. So the battle is underway. Okay, that's Polk's brigade. They got sent back. Let's pull Cook back into his breastworks. Hopefully he can fall back into that position. Yeah, okay. Let's work with these skirms. Face that cab. These skirms need to rotate. If they will, they may not. It's all kind of woodsy in here. Artillery isn't really a factor. Did have a little tiny bit of an artillery duel here, which our wires quickly resolved. Well, so Cooper's elected not to come across this open ground into our position. He's making kind of a flank attack, mostly in woods. And this is a little bit of a weak spot right here. Wait, what is going on here? These guys went behind and got in my own breastworks? That's what that looks like. Come on now. Okay. So let's do this. Rosecrans, you're needed over here. Back out of those parapets here. And then we'll bring McClernand's division over to here. Command that position. You got cavalry and infantry right here in the angle here. I think I need some artillery here. Looking a little snaky. I don't think Rosecrans needs his skirmishers out. Let's pull those guys in. And his Western Army. Let's get the Cav back down here. Don't need them spotting anymore. I'm going to need them fighting, I think, pretty soon. Same with these guys. Let's pull their scouts in as well. Kind of doing okay. Just we've got this Cav running around in our rear, and someone's going to have to deal with him pretty soon. Okay, this attack over on the far right has been beaten back. Obviously, Baird needs to. I don't want you to move a position. I just want you to rotate. That's all. There you go. There you go. Yeah, that was a weak spot, and Tolliver blew right through it. This brigade is about to be forced out of here. There he goes. Okay. Baird, rotate back. There you go. Tolliver's pursued all the way down, and that's because we see it happen to player units too. Once they go into a melee mode, they just don't come out of it. They just don't come out of it. So while the Arkansas Mounted Rifles broke through the line, they just stayed fixated on this one routed unit, and now they themselves are exhausted. And probably, we can't see it, but probably still in melee mode. They're kind of out of the fight. How many casualties did... 344 for Cook. Not a great day for them. Not a disaster. They still got Western Army guys coming down. They're coming down the railroad bed. Well, now we've got more infantry coming in. Baird, who's been wounded, he needs to rotate just a little bit. Like that. Okay, that's good. Baird's actually taken extremely few casualties. Only 16, but one of whom is himself. Okay, Rosecrans is in position to support if necessary. Cox has a Hall's Rifle Brigade with the red coats. go ahead and let Geary pull his skirmishers in. Lost sight of the Western Army brigades. They may be crossing here. They may be continuing down the rail bed. He's a little slow to keep up with his subordinate brigade. Okay. Johnny Rep's coming down the road here. Dix is not needed here. Let's bring him up here on Morel's flank. Just pull this cat back a little bit. Well, Adams has gotten up close enough to bear that he himself has got some parapet cover now. That's not ideal. Baird's brigade still has not taken too many casualties though. But we need to pry Adams out of their flanking fire. Kind of hoping that 25th Brigade will drop the initiative bit and go back into line here. They arrive. What's 55th doing under Geary? Doing okay. Not currently taking any flanking fire. He is getting under fire from two different units though. Cox delivering flanking fire on Quarles. Let's get 25th Brigade flanking fire Adams. If I can get them to do it, you know, they want to go and Holland. Or there we go. Finally getting with the program. Ooh, all these boys came down to here to our vacated parapets. First degree. It's John Porter. Go attack that cab. Pull your skirmishers in. Needs to get up a little closer. He's at extreme I can't get him to do it in a useful orientation. I'm trying to advance him up here, but it's going sideways. So let him fire right where he is. Baird's still not taking flanking fire. Oh, now he's taking some flanking fire at him, and he's starting to pull back. That's good news. However, Pope and Humphreys, I think, are about to have an entire rebel division on their flank. See, Tolliver's still sitting down here, completely exhausted. That melee wrecked him. Let's get this artillery over here where they can support Pope against the flank attack. I think I need to get the rest of Stevens' corps engaged pretty soon. Like now. Let's advance Morell's division there. We'll have Dix come up on his left flank. Geary is broken. Pretty nice attack that they've delivered here. This angle. Adams falling back. Good. Still. He's got 2 brigades firing at him. He's wavering. We got a lot of Johnny Rebs over here, though. Oh, McReynolds. Get up in this cover. I want you to do it quickly, so charge. I just need to remember to bring him back out of short-range fire when he gets there. Skirmishers are kind of covering his advance to the parapets. There we go. Oh, that's just that was just a detachment. Okay, I'm going to try to pull. Is there a fence here? Yes. Why are you so difficult? I don't know if that's initiative related or not, but I'm pulling them off. And the other brigade in that division is hot. That's a pretty scary looking attack developing over there. This is all Army of Mississippi. Over here, I think this is the Army of Georgia that's forming up, and yeah, they're coming. Oh, Tolliver is active again. Still exhausted, but he's moving. Who is this? Oh, that's Geary trying to find a place to... Cox is moving through woods over here. That's not too great. Let's get this cab loop back around here. Division commander. It's Rose. No, it's McClellan. Bill McClellan. Here's your hero power that you're always looking for. Skirms are no longer needed. Skirms are no longer needed. You guys are supposed to be on the advance, which means seems like they would have rotated there. Keep themselves from getting flanked. No. I just want to pull them back a little bit, only for positioning reasons. Talk about that. No. Okay. That's fine. As long as he's not taking fire. Okay, we still got a lot of issues over there. Get those haul rifles on this cab. We need that cleared first. And one of the wired battalions is broken. Right now that artillery's kind of keeping these guys at bay. Morse is coming up in position. What is taking so long? Okay. I'm gonna give you a stopper. Which means you need to be over here. Morse is in melee in a disrupted state. Probably with this cab, I guess. He's probably about to break. Here's a broken brigade here. Who is this? Geary is broke. Oh, that's Geary still running around the battlefield. Trying to... Advance right up into here. Looks like Hawk might respond now. Morris isn't broken yet, but he's doing some weird stuff over here. Now that Cav went into that. No, Morris is broken. Okay, Cox. See, I see these things, these flashing blue bars. I see this all the time. I haven't the foggiest idea what this means. No idea. It's not the same symbology as what you normally see for an ordered position. Is that this is the commander's initiative? Where he thinks he should go and where he's going to go if he can. Whenever this symbology shows up on the cat, okay, and now, see, I don't understand the game mechanic that just caused that change where he's finally kind of doing what I want, sort of. I mean, it's still there. It means something, right? There's some information here that I need to know. I just don't know what it is. Let's advance, I think this is Humphreys to that position. Cav. It's a pretty small brigade. Just come right up and fire at them. Use those Maynards. Of course, you're not much bigger at 1800. Is this Morris or is that's Geary? And meanwhile, when I wasn't really paying attention, it looks like Stevens' Corps over here has done a pretty good job taking care of the Army of Georgia, advancing up through here. Good job, guys. Hawkins Brigade took quite a bit of casualties there. Enemy is retreating. Well, that retreat phase might have been marginally worth recording. I kind of stopped doing that because mostly it's just chasing stuff that can't be caught. But in this case, there were enough still unbroken Confederate forces still within firing range and in forest terrain, so they couldn't move very fast. And because of that, we were able to inflict enough additional casualties during retreat phase that we actually got a major victory. Which, before 107, 108, was just like, well, every victory is a major victory. Those have become harder to come by in these two recent updates due to the AI's willingness to kind of start withdrawing a little bit faster, earlier. And so major victories are not kind of routine anymore. So I'm pretty happy about that. Was not the cleanest battle, as, of course, everyone just saw. You know, they attacked this weak spot here. Had some problems all along in here. Saw these guys coming. I kept expecting him to cross, okay, he's going to cross. Well, I started up here. He's going to cross here. Nope. He's going to cross here. Nope. He's going to cross here. Nope. I guess he's going to, oh, look, he's crossing here. Without doing, I should have reacted to that. And I think just a brigade here would have been enough, and I didn't do it. So that caused problems over here on our flank, on our rear. We wound up tearing them up good. These Wyards, kind of front and center without any real assistance there for a bit, kind of held the line. One of them rounded, but I'm kind of interested to see how the Wyatts do in the reports. And then due to flanking fire and that sort of thing, we had several brigades break up in here and down here. There was something really weird right in here pretty early in the battle. Army of the Mississippi is making its attack. Infantry comes in here. This brigade, whose commander I don't remember the name of, I don't think it was Geary, it was somebody else. Anyway, this brigade comes out, they melee right here. Okay, the AI does that sometime, theirs and ours. Wins the melee. The Confederate brigade routes, trying to get him back and fall back on his side of the breastwork so he can get back in them. And then somehow another brigade just like, whoop, slipped right in here, manned the breastwork right behind him. Point blank range. and I think that's what broke that brigade. So I'm not mad at that brigade. You know, I'm not upset about that brigade routing. I'm just kind of confused at the sequence of mechanics that occurred there. It seems a little strange. Have a look at the casualty reports. We've got some brigades that probably did pretty well. Okay, both corps got pretty heavily engaged there. Curtis's 7th Corps that's the one on the right, a little bit more, but 6th Corps, pretty big contribution there. Of course, they're the ones that made the pinwheel movement on the left flank in the open ground and wound up fighting the Army of Georgia when I wasn't really paying attention much to that side of the field. So within, this is 6th Corps, 1st and 2nd Division, did the majority of the work. Their artillery, 257, not too bad. Of course, they were on the left. They remained in their original position, and they had a good field to fire across all that open ground over there. Nice job to that artillery. 7th Corps. Yeah, all 3 divisions wound up inflicting a pretty good number of casualties. I am very surprised that 7th Corps' artillery only inflicted 49 casualties. They were within canister range for a pretty extended period with the Western Army, which is the force that flanked around our rear. That's disappointing. Tells me maybe there was some little weird terrain thing there. Maybe. Or it could just be Wyatts suck for canister. I'll have to look at that in the manual. 1st Division. 1,200 inflicted by 24th, only 247 by 25th. Oh, well, yeah, because that's Morris. This was the brigade that was doing weird things with its orientation, and I couldn't get them to quite work right. And then they wound up routing and running around the battlefield. Cox, these guys had Hall's rifles, and they were a little quirky too, but they did get a lot of firing done. Rosecrans Division. 3rd Division here. Another big disparity. 1,300 for the 55th Missouri troops. Only 400. 400 still pretty good by the 56th. Probably because this is a brigade that routed, I would guess. Yeah. Cook. That was that initial brigade on the angle that routed when the other brigade manned his breastworks behind them. Geary's brigade later broke as well, but that was much, much later and fought a long time before routing. And wound up doing 1,300 damage. Or 1,300 kills. casualties, 600 for Geary, and almost 350 for Cook. And then 2nd Division, 27th and 26th Brigade, Ohio and Indiana troops, 1,600 for 27th and over 500 for the 26th. Baird and Humphreys. Yeah, so Baird's brigade, I don't remember. I think they did wind up routing at the very end. But they fought for a long time, 1,600 casualties inflicted. And then Humphreys was over on the flank. How many losses did Baird take? Under the circumstances of where Baird was fighting, that's actually, it's lower than I expected. I'll just put it that way. Okay. Again, fairly messy battle. A few things could have gone better, but overall, I'm pretty happy to get the major victory out of that. and what that, I don't think that major victories impact national morale and military experience. I mean, they do, but I don't think that there's any difference between minor and major for morale and military experience. If I understand the mechanics correctly, and I may not, but what I think happens is that a major victory has a bigger impact than a minor does on the losing army's readiness, supply, and morale. And I think one possible factor on why we see these enemy armies lose a battle, fall back, and then come right back so quickly is because maybe so many more of the victories are minor instead of major. That is speculation. That's a hypothesis. Don't take that as gospel. I may change my mind later. It's just a thought. Because minor victories are kind of the norm now, and before 107, majors were the norm. So let's see how long it is before we have to deal with these armies again. Lost almost all of his guns, 9,500 casualties. Lost quite a bit of cav too, which means we may have some Richmond carbines in the captured weapons pool. We did take 2,500 casualties, which, not enormous, but that's almost 10% of this force. These particular corps are a little bit smaller than the ones in the big armies. These are only 6 brigade corps, not 9. So coming out of that battle, let's take a quick look around the theaters. This is kind of going to become a new theater here, the coastal theater, I guess. I think 11th Corps down here at Key West should, if I can select it, there we go. I think it's time for them to embark and come on up here to Tampa. We're just going to land them right here. Besiege us forward. We need to make sure they are on sea movement. There we go. All right. Horatio Wright, off you go. Now, one interesting thing about that, though, is if he gets up here and he doesn't win that siege and is forced into a retreat situation, I am not 100% sure where he is going to go. Ideally, he would retreat back down to the Florida Keys. But if he's defeated in a siege battle, he may lose enough readiness where he can't do that, where he can't move. This corps might disintegrate if that happens. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Okay, so this battle squadron is still recovering from its earlier escapades. And what I'm going to do, I don't have any 100% frigates, but I've got a lot of like frigates in the 90s. So what I'm going to do is some swap out. Let's pull these lower 80s and 70s. You can keep, well, this says in harbor for repair, ready in 6. It's a 96%er. That doesn't make any sense. 74, you're coming out. Yeah, 81, 80. Let's let them go into the harbor pool and let them repair. And then I'm going to pull frigates that are above 90%. Which in most cases were Farragut's original frigates, who have been repairing for a while. Any more? Santee, 98. There you go. There's 7 frigates, all above 90%. 6 days. They still need some time to arrive. But that should get Farragut ready to come down here to Fort Macon a lot quicker. Right, in Virginia. So we have this, it's not a fort siege, but we have this siege warfare going on. We've got 3 of our corps, 3 of their corps. It is showing in our favor. However, take a look at this. There's several perks available on the Confederate side. That include sappers and miners, limelights, and siege train. And that could go some distance toward explaining why we're taking more casualties. Only slightly, taking a few more casualties than the Confederates, despite the fact that we've got almost double the artillery. Also, the Confederates have actually more men, because they've got so much cav in here. This is about 57... If you count the manning of what must be in this artillery, he's got almost 60,000 men here. Whereas we've got more like probably 52,000, something like that, in our force. Not doing it right now, but I'm kind of thinking converting this into a tactical battle is probably to our advantage, rather than letting it play out. The other option is going ahead and committing First Corps into this siege battle as well, which if I'm going to convert it into a tactical battle, maybe I'll do that anyway. But I kind of like the idea of keeping a corps out and keeping it fresh and keeping it at green readiness, because the Confederates don't have all of their forces committed either. So I think I want to keep McDowell out of this fight, whether it continues as a siege or if I use the assault button to fight it on the tactical map. Not sure yet. Tennessee, if I can navigate my way there. Saw this spotting report where the Army of Tennessee was last seen at Knoxville, but is not capturing Knoxville. So they just moved on through and are going somewhere else. If he was going to come down here to Chattanooga, he would have taken this route. He wouldn't have gone up to Knoxville first. I think this army is headed up to Virginia. I think that's where he's going. Bad news for Winfield Scott. Pretty good news for Grant. Right here, we've still got the Army of West Tennessee with Grant's 50,000-man army. Let's just push Hooker right up onto him and make him retreat. I want to make him retreat. I do not want to fight him. If we put him in retreat mode, he's got to go to a red IIP, and that means heading south, which is where I want him. Army of the Oconee. It's kind of getting close to this cav. which if contact is made here, Cav is going to retreat. Before he leaves, though, if we're moving anyway, let's not let the Confederates have their supply depot back. Okay. I think the gunboats are kind of keeping an eye on Missouri State Guard. Let's move the Cav back kind of over here, which is where he was before. Folks may have noticed in the battle that we just fought, McClellan himself was not there. It was these two corps, but they were acting independently. There was no army commander. I don't know why. I guess as these armies approached, and because... Actually, I do know why. Both of these corps were involved in the siege of Fort Pillow. McClellan was not. So basically, these rebel armies advanced behind his army, but these guys were in the siege. He was not. Basically, he was out here unsupported. Like, they come up and it's just him. So he retreated. No, it's not just because, well, it's McClellan. What do you expect? Anyway, and in fact, he is still in retreating mode. So I can't even give him a movement order. And these guys are still in the battle. All right, so we'll have to move them here in a second. And I intend for them to move and take Memphis. That's what I intend to do with them. Arkansas. Okay, how's this siege going? Last we looked, it wasn't looking too hot. And it's still not looking too hot. Yeah. Not in a good supply situation, out of provisions, out of forage. Got the low food modifier. Also doesn't look like we're building any perk slot XP up here, which we should be doing in a siege. Oh, because we just now took this siege train. Just now. Yeah. Yeah, and I think this was mentioned toward the end of the last episode. He's probably going to lose this and wind up retreating back to Carrollton, where he'll recover and we'll just come back and do it again later. Maybe. We'll see how things go. I wonder if there's any morale reason. You know, Lyon doesn't have any troops directly attached, but just being an army commander, I wonder if there's like a morale reason to have him involved in the siege as well. It can't hurt, right? Come on over here. Can't make it any worse. At least. Okay, and I think that's kind of what's going on with the theaters. Opening up a new little front here. Horatio Wright headed to Tampa. Frigates will soon be ready to head down and bombard Fort Macon. Probably a battle looming in here in Virginia in the next episode. Solidifying our position with a fort and depot at Chattanooga. Forcing this army down south here, east of Nashville. And hopefully grabbing Memphis very, very soon. And I think that will do for this episode. If you like what we're doing with the channel, then leave a like. Leave a comment. Maybe even subscribe if that strikes your fancy. At any rate, thank you very, very much for watching. I appreciate it.